Yuan Chu saw that the little apprentice was like this now. The whole person was directly stunned in place. A pair of big eyes stared at him intently. It's so handsome. Why have you watched it for so many years? Will still be killed by the appearance of small injustice. Compared to the original and current heartbeat, Yi Tianxu was scared to death, hurriedly hid behind the only remaining dark position, urging the road to hurry up. Kill Yi Qinyuan for me. Yi Tianxu was around before. Obviously, there are several dark positions in the infancy. Why is there only one left? I guess they should have gone their separate ways. The secret guard who was pushed out. Although it looks very calm on the surface, but the cold sweat that ran down his forehead, it showed the panic in his heart. This person is really in the early stage of the infant. Why does he give me the feeling? It's even more terrifying than those out-of-body periods. Because of the fear in the heart, Ivy didn't make a move at the first time. Instead, they chose to wait and see. Yi Qinyuan looked at the person in front of him, sensing that the other party's cultivation is only stronger than his own, not weak. But his next move. But a few people present couldn't think of it. Turning his head to look at Yuan Chu behind him, said with a smile, "Master, this man is amazing. I can't beat it. Why don't you help me clean him up, Master?" That's what Yi Qinyuan said. But it doesn't matter if it's tone or expression. It all seems so breezy and bland. There is not a trace of fear. After all, the goods in front of me are a bit difficult. But it's not that I can't clean it up. But the master said before that he wanted to move his muscles and bones. You can't let him stuff anymore. Yuan Chu heard the little apprentice say this, instantly retreated from the state of nymphomania. Eyes lit up. The master's power exploded instantly. Xiao Yuan is so powerful. There are still times when I am needed. Sure enough, my master is still very strong. Yuan Chu had a big misunderstanding of his own strength. Although in his previous life, he couldn't beat Yi Qinyuan. But that's because of the male protagonist's aura. And yet in this life, in general, there is Yi Qinyuan here. He doesn't have to do it. Then Yuan Chu left a sentence. You wait. I'm going to clean him up. Then he rushed up to meet him. Yi Qinyuan looked at the master and was full of energy. Energetic look. A doting smile. Didn't say anything. With the master's current strength, it is impossible for the other party to hurt him. The location where Yi Tianxu was standing just now was relatively remote. I didn't hear the conversation between them at the beginning of the year. But seeing that Yi Qinyuan suddenly stopped moving, Mu Qingge greeted him. I couldn't help but be a little stunned. What a substitution. Could it be Yi Qinyuan's terrifying killing move just now? It can only be used once. Now it needs to be restored. That's why he pushed Brother Mu Qing out to die. In order to calm one's extremely unbalanced heart. The more Yi Tianxu thought about it, the more reasonable it became. Well, that's definitely the case. After all, Yi Qinyuan was only in the early stage of the Yuan infant. Kill so many people in one move. It can't be stress-free. It seems that he is nothing more than that. I thought he was so rebellious. Look at what is said. It's like you can do it yourself. The comfort of the infant wife. After hearing Yi Qinyuan say this, at first, I thought the other party was going to blow it up. But seeing that Yuan Chu really rushed up, I can't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Looked at the delicate and flimpy woman in front of him. There was a little mockery in his eyes. Just a woman. It seems that he really can't do it. That's the case. Today next year will be their death day. Immediately, the spiritual power in his hand gathered. Prepare to deal with Yuan Chu with one blow. However, when Yuan Chu came to him, I don't know why, a sense of crisis suddenly surged in my heart. Yuan Chu looked at the goods in front of him. A look of excitement. The small fist clenched and clicked. I haven't done it for a long time. The whole body is almost rusty. It just so happens that the little apprentice needs me. You also hit the muzzle. Get ready for your destiny. Immediately, the spiritual power of the whole body also. began to converge. Although for some reason, a sense of crisis surged in my heart. But the other party is just a woman after all. The dark guard then rushed into the distance. However, one touch. Feel the powerful spiritual power of the other party. I panicked in my heart. But by the time I wanted to escape, it was too late. The corners of his mouth lifted in the distance. The powerful spiritual power directly suppressed the other party. Immediately followed by a small mouth. A malicious smile was revealed. Directly loosened the suppression of the other party. Just as the dark guard breathed a sigh of relief and prepared to leave. Yuan Chu in hand. Directly condensed an energy cannon at a rapid speed. The next second, the energy ball is directly lightning fast. Hit the dark guard in the chest. So close distances. It's impossible to dodge. And that powerful impact directly let the blood in the mouth of the dark guard be the same as not asking for money. Crazy squirting. The whole person is like a shooting star. Fly off into the distance. In the next second, I couldn't even see a shadow. Yuan Chu then sighed with emotion. Good pillows. After disposing of the last trash fish, the master and apprentice showed the same expression. Looked at the weak at this time with a malicious face. Poor and helpless Yi Tianxiu. Yuan Chu let out a strange laugh. Next it's your turn. Yi Tianxiu couldn't have imagined it. In the end, it will turn out like this. Look at the two demon-like people in front of you. He was slowly walking towards himself. My legs began to tremble involuntarily. But that's it. Yi Tianxiu naturally will not be restrained. In the next second, a few fire beads were directly thrown. Throw it forward. Naturally, he would not be naive to think about it. With these few flame beads, you can kill the two people in front of you. With a few bangs, a large amount of smoke directly filled, with the cover of smoke, who then took out a 7-rank captive spiritual power. With a push, it disappeared from the sight of the two in the distance. Although Yi Qinyuan knew that this flame bead could not hurt the master, but he still shouted worriedly, "Be careful." At the same time, he stretched out his hand and swept away all the fire beads in front of him. But there is still one. Because the explosion was too close. A fragment slashed through Yi Qin's arm. When the smoke dissipates, Yuan Chu and Yi Qinyuan didn't even think about chasing Yi Tianxiu. After all, the other party is just a clown. After going out, it can also be used to deal with Feng Wani and others. Run, run. But so, Yuan Chu saw his white and tender little apprentice. There was an extra wound on his body. Although it's just a small opening, but it's still a little distressing. Stepped forward and took Yi Qinyuan's hand. Worriedly asked, "Are you okay?" That little cut on the arm. Yi Qinyuan naturally didn't take it seriously. After all, he has suffered no matter how serious his injuries are. And he's not so squeamish either. But I saw the master like this. Or comforted master, "Don't worry. He got better soon." When Yi Qinyuan spoke, the wound on his arm was almost healed. There was just a drop of blood falling to the ground. Before the two of them knew it, it has been absorbed by the ground weirdly. After the land absorbs the blood, the entire divine secret realm followed. There was a strong vibration. It seems to be Yi Chenyue's blood. What mechanism was triggered? This sudden shock made Yuan Chu startled for a moment. Look around. Not sure what happened. What's going on? And Yi Qinyuan was calmer. But he still stared around vigilantly. At the same time, appease Master Dao. Don't be afraid, there is a big crack in the ground at this time. A quaint atmosphere greeted you. Made Yi Qinyuan suddenly wake up. It was the summoning of Excalibur's treasure. Come to think of it. Yi Qinyuan then reached out and hugged Yuan Chu's waist. Under Yuan Chu's puzzled gaze, he explained the master. Don't hide underneath this, it's likely to be Excalibur treasure. Yuan Chu listened. Force yourself to calm down. Don't dodge. As the cracks in the ground get bigger and bigger, when it is large enough to a certain extent. Yi Qinyuan hugged Yuan Chu and jumped down directly. As the master and apprentice advanced deeper and deeper into the crack, the surrounding light was gradually swallowed up by darkness. In the endless darkness at the end, only the shield that Yi Chunyuan maintained with his spiritual power remained, its emitting bursts of blue light. And in this endless darkness, I don't feel the passage of time at all. After I don't know how long it fell, the master and apprentice finally fell to the bottom. Suddenly, something dragged their bodies down, smoothly landed on the ground. Just the moment it hit the ground, around them, the blue shield that Yi Chunyuan maintained with his spiritual power, suddenly gone. Even the spells used to disguise themselves in the same place. It also fails instantly. It was restored to its original state. Yi Chunyuan looked at the master who had changed back to his original appearance in his arms. Asked with concern, "Master, are you okay?" The beginning of the Yuan was at this time. I also found that I had actually changed back to my original self. After feeling the body, shaking my head, "I'm fine. It's just that we can't seem to use spiritual power anymore." Feel the powerful spiritual power in your body, but it can't be used. It's a really uncomfortable feeling. If you are not an immortal cultivator with normal physical cultivation, this is the case that I am most afraid of. However, neither the master nor the apprentice is normal, not to mention the beginning of the Yuan. What he cultivated was the practice of the mighty Vajra absolute refining body, just Yi Chunyuan's strong bloodline, plus the results of the previous quenching. But the physical strength is not as strong as Yuan Chu, but it is also more than the upper than the bottom. Listen to the master. Said that Yi Chunyuan understood the master's worries. At the same time, I feel cute and lovely, a delicate and fluffy little master. If you don't have spiritual power, it's supposed to be like a fragile porcelain doll. Rest assured, master, I'm brittle. The physical strength is still very strong. You'll walk behind me later. Seeing this, he opened his mouth in the distance. I wondered if I should tell the little apprentice. I'm actually a King Kong lorry, but thought about it. I think it's better to forget it. Although there are unknown dangers ahead, but the master and apprentice still walked into the depths without hesitation. Fortunately, Yi Chunyuan is a person who can live. Even if you can't use spiritual power, you can't take out the items in the Zi. But on him, I still carry some small items that are convenient and practical. After all, life is in the world. The most common thing is accidents. It's always good to be a little more prepared. Then he took out a night pearl from his bosom. The glow of the night pearl. It directly dispelled the darkness of more than 10 meters around them. In the distance, I saw the night pearl that the little apprentice suddenly took out, was also slightly stunned. Unexpectedly, Xiao Yuanyu, and still has lighting things that are not put in the Zi. Since the Zi cannot be opened, the old man and the little white dragon in there. Naturally, it can't come out. And there was a dead silence all around, as if there was not a single living thing. If you can't feel the presence of the people around you, it's really going to drive people crazy. Fortunately, Yi Chunyuan is a person who can endure his temperament. But the beads are not. After a moment of silence, finally I couldn't hold it anymore. Opened his mouth and chatted with Yi Chunyuan. I guess it must have been your blood that awakened Excalibur. Then Yuanju suddenly sighed. The little brow furrowed. A distressed expression appeared on his face. I knew it was so easy. We didn't have to look for that long before. Yi Chunyuan heard Yuanchu's somewhat regretful tone. Wanner smiled. Teasing master. What if it's not Excalibur? However, Yuanchu's reaction surprised Yi Chunyuan a little. A look of certainty. I swore that it was impossible. Excalibur must be yours. And this is definitely a treasure trove of Excalibur. Yi Chunyuan also knew it. Master must have been bored when he suddenly accosted himself. In order to divert his attention, just follow his words, master. Excalibur is the most powerful offensive artifact. Why do you think I'm going to get him? What if he doesn't want to confess me as Lord? Yi Chunyuan's question. Let Yuan Chu be a little difficult to answer. I am a traverser. It's not time to tell the little apprentice about rebirth. If you say that the little apprentice doesn't believe it, forget it. What if you become estranged from yourself? But if you can predict the future, it doesn't feel like it's going to be too much of a stretch. In this kind of time, Yuan Chu's brain cells that don't usually like to move much. It's spinning wildly. After some brainstorming, then he looked at the little apprentice with a sincere face. Very simply, it must be yours. You're my apprentice. Everything that is best in this world should be yours. As the saying goes, the speaker has no intention. The listener is intentional. Yi Qinyuan immediately stopped when he heard this. It turned out to be in the master's heart. You deserve the best. But in your own heart, isn't he the best? Turning to look at the villain behind him, the desire to kiss him in my heart became stronger and stronger. But in order not to scare Yuan Chu, Yi Qinyuan still endured it. Then he asked a question that has been lingering in my mind for a long time. The master seems to have been when I was very young. You've said something similar to me. At that time, I was just kicked out by a small family, a wife that no one wants. Why are you being so nice to me? If only before. Yuan Chu will definitely think about it. Because you have a lot of adventures. I'm going to pick up the leaks. That's why it's good for you. However, after so many years of companionship, plus careful care, even a stone should be covered in heat. Yuan Chu looked at Yi Qinyuan in front of him. He was all for him. No reservations. And he's not the kind of heartless and unrighteous kind. People who have lost their 7 emotions and 6 desires. How can accounting compare gains and losses? Then a big smile appeared on his face. A step forward. A pair of big eyes. Just look directly into Yi Qinyuan's eyes. Say yes. Because you're good. Good for me. So I hope all the good things in the world are yours. It doesn't matter if it's not. You say what you want. To be a teacher is to rob. They will also be held up in front of you. You're fine, even if you don't have any external ones. You also deserve the best of everything. Yuan Chu's little face that suddenly approached directly made Yi Qinyuan stunned. And the words spoken are like cat's paws, scratched on the tip of Yi Qinyuan's heart. Yuan Chu finished speaking. He nodded hard. Then he turned around and went on. And Yi Qinyuan. But he suddenly reached out and grabbed Yuan Chu's wrist. He took him into his arms. Eyes burned at him. There seemed to be a small flame flickering in his eyes. Master, if I want to. Yi Qinyuan's words were not finished. Suddenly, there was a rumbling tremor. Directly the lust he had just ignited, it was forcibly extinguished. Then there was a sound of heavy footsteps, slowly approaching them in the distance. Yi Qinyuan immediately put away the night pearl. Listen to the footsteps that are getting closer and closer to them. His face became a little heavy. The movement caused is so great. It doesn't matter what kind of creature it is. The size will not be small. However, they are now unable to use spiritual power. If you really fight, the odds are slim. Come to think of it, the first thing Yi Qinyuan thought of was Yuan Chu. Lowered his voice and said quickly, "A master. If you wait, the situation will not be right. You run first." Do you know that Yuan Chu heard Yi Qinyuan say this? A white and tender little face became angry and became a small bun again. A pair of big eyes full of dissatisfaction. I hate it, and want me to be a deserter. Alone in front of the dead support. Looked at the little face of the little puffer fish in the ancient city of the master. In the face of his silent protest, the thought in Yi Qinyuan's heart, still not the slightest waver. Although knowing that this will make the master unhappy, but he still said helplessly and depressedly, "Master, you have my blood on you. Even if they are separated, I'll find yours too." When Yi Qinyuan's voice just fell, Yuan Chu didn't have time to speak. The unknown beast. At this time, he had come to the master and apprentice. Although due to the darkness around, I can't see the whole picture of the giant beast. But it's just the other party's open eye. It's the size of half of Yuan Chu's body. And that huge blood-red eyeball. Although it looks scary, but there is not the slightest coercion. This made Yuan Chu wonder. Such a huge beast has no coercion. Could it be that the beast itself has restrained its coercion? And Yi Qinyuan was at the first glance of the giant beast. I knew the strangeness of the giant beast in front of me. Subconsciously protected Yuan Chu in his arms. He looked ahead with a wary face. And Yuan Chu was after a strange moment. Immediately afterwards, he also reacted. Can put the coercion so freely. I'm afraid this giant beast must have a ninth order. As soon as the idea came out, Yuan Chu's hair all over his body. I couldn't help but stand upside down. It's good for the beast. There was no attempt to attack the two. Just glanced at the two of them in the distance. Then he turned and walked in the other direction. Watched the big eyeball in front of him disappear. Darkness was back in front of us. There was finally a sigh of relief in the distance. The heart that hung in his throat was also put back into the distance. Terrible if he really is ninth order. He could knock us both off in seconds with just one blow. There was no room for resistance between the two of us. When Yuan Chu was still in shock, Yi Qinyuan looked at the direction the giant beast left. Pondered. Suddenly he said, Master, do you remember? What was the contract beast of the founding emperor of the empire in the first place? Yuan Chu heard the little apprentice say this. Suddenly realized. Unbelievably gluttonous. You say he's gluttonous. If it's true, Yuan Chu felt what he had just thought. It's just narrow-minded. That's gluttony. Legend has it that it can swallow the existence of a country in one bite. It's not just the same grade as the white dragon and white tiger. And it seems, it should still be completely different from them. These two goods in hand. One was just born, in juvenile form, and the other is a big loss of vitality. It's still half dead. If he wasn't happy just now, you don't have to do anything. Coercion alone can crush them. And the expression on Yi Qinyuan's face. It's not as exaggerated as it was. It's a calm face. I guess in addition to the original thing, there is nothing that can make Yi Qinyuan lose his senses. Then he nodded. Yes, I guess he's here to lead the way. Yi Qinyuan finished speaking, took Yuan Chu by the hand. I followed in the direction where the gluttony had just disappeared. Although it was pitch black all around, but the red light emanating from the gluttonous eyes not far away, and the loud noise he made as he walked. It can indicate the direction that Yi Qinyuan and they are taking. That's right, walk on the road. Yuan Chu thought about the unfathomable strength of gluttony. Although very envious. But there are two divine beasts on my side. Then he turned his head to look at Yi Qinyuan. Curiously asked Xiao Yuan. You say our white dragon still has. Will the white tiger be so powerful in the future? The original sentence of ours. Let Yi Qinyuan's heart be sweet. Face the unknown ahead. At this time, I didn't feel pressured at all. The slightly raised corners of his mouth can't be suppressed. Yes. Our divine beasts will also become very powerful in the future. It's amazing, and I thought to myself, so are we. And then for a long time, safe and sound, together forever. Although there is gluttony to lead the way, but at the beginning of the Yuan dynasty, they still couldn't use spiritual power, can only rely on their own industrious legs, follow step by step. Because it was pitch black all around, the two of them didn't feel the passage of time at all. Yuan Chu can only feel it. His legs were getting heavier and heavier, and that eyelids. The whole person is like a wilted cabbage, said weakly Xiao Yuan. How long have we been walking? I was so sleepy. I had the habit of sleeping at the beginning. It's not easy to survive this time. Sighed. Yi Qinyuan's state was diametrically opposite to Yuan Chu. Seeing the wilting look of the master, Yi Qinyuan originally wanted to hold the master in his arms. Let him get a good rest. But it's not far ahead. There was a faint light. Yi Qinyuan couldn't help but be happy in his heart. There was a little light in front of the master. It should be almost there. Yi Qinyuan said so. Yuan Chu suddenly felt as if he could carry it again. The two of them then walked some distance ahead. A fog immediately appeared in front of him. Wait for the fog to dissipate. In front of him was a rather chaotic space. Although the color of the heavens and the earth is gray, but it's better than the one that couldn't see the 5 fingers before. Anyway, there's some light. It gives people a sense of security. And at this time, Yuan Chu also saw the true appearance of gluttony. I saw a huge beast as big as a mountain and moon. In front of them is slowly moving. Alas, this is gluttony. Gluttonous look. It's a bit different from what Yuan Chu imagined. Not so domineering. On the contrary, it is a little scary. But what does gluttony look like? Does that matter? Unimportant. Yuan Chu immediately turned to look at Yi Qinyuan excitedly. Xiao Yuan. This must be the treasure trove of divine swords. After all, the gluttony is here. The queen certainly does. Let's go and subdue the world's #1 artifact. Yuan Chu is now full of energy. Compared to before, that's a judgment of 2 people. When the beginning of the Yuan rushed, when you want to run towards the gluttony, Yi Qinyuan suddenly reached out and grabbed the corner of his clothes. Master, wait a minute. Immediately in Yuan Chu's puzzled gaze, as if by magic, he took out a candy. The master opened his mouth. Yuan Chu saw the sugar in Yi Qinyuan's hand. No matter what doubts there were in my heart, they disappeared all at once. And the sweet smell that comes from the sugar. Yuan Chu discovered that this was his favorite taste. Eyes widened suddenly.